Hi students, welcome to All4 e-learning chemistry classes for second year. The running chapter is solid state and now we are in session number 17. In previous sessions we start to discuss about the properties of the crystal solids, and where we are finding three different kinds of properties that depend on the structure and the composition of the crystals. They are classified as the electrical properties, already we discussed, and then the magnetic properties and the dielectric properties. Clear? And in electrical properties we observe that the solids are behaving in three different manner. One is nothing but as conductors, where they are of having the highest conducting capacity, and insulators, which are having almost zero conducting, and then semiconductors, they are behaving as conductors at high temperatures and in presence of impurity. That is nothing but when the semiconductor material is doped with some other impurity, then it can behave like a conductor. All these we discussed in previous session. And the remaining properties, that is nothing but the magnetic properties and dielectric properties of these solid crystals we have to discuss. And now in this session we will cover the discussion on these two topics. Clear? And now let us consider first of all the magnetic properties. Magnetic properties of solids or substances. As we know, the magnetic properties depending on their behavior in external magnetic field. When some other magnet is kept very close to them, how these substances are behaving, depending on that they are classified as diamagnetic substances. It is diamagnetic substances and paramagnetic substances. Paramagnetic substances. Basically, that is mainly these are the two kinds. And now how we can identify what is the nature of this diamagnetic substance or what is the nature of this paramagnetic substance? Just in external magnetic field, these diamagnetic substances are not attracted. If they are not attracted towards the external magnetic field, then they are said to be diamagnetic substances. And just as per physics, they are considering as in external magnetic field. In external magnetic field, they are slightly repelled. Slightly repelled. Simply we can say that the substances which are of slightly or weakly repelled by external magnetic field are known as diamagnetic substances. And now as per our chemistry, if we observe what happened to these substances, why they are not attracted, why they are repelled by the magnetic field, if we observe, it indicates or it is observed that they are not having any unpaired electrons. It is nothing but all electrons are paired in these compounds, and because of all electrons paired and there is no unpaired electron in the compound, they are behaving like that. And the examples for these diamagnetic substances or best known examples are NaCl and benzene. Already we know these two, and titanium oxide. These are said to be the best examples for diamagnetic substances. Clear? And now coming to paramagnetic substances. Simply, when they are not attracted, here these are attracted. They are slightly repelled, but these are attracted by the magnetic field. So paramagnetic substances are those which are attracted by external magnetic field. External magnetic field. If they are attracted, they are said to be paramagnetic substances. And you remember here they have unpaired electrons. They have unpaired electrons in that chemical species, in their molecules or atoms, like that. Clear? And the best examples for this paramagnetic are O2. O2 paramagnetic nature is explained by MOT, you remember. Molecular orbital theory explains the paramagnetic nature of oxygen. And then another one is Cu plus 2 and then Fe plus 3. All these are supposed to have paramagnetic nature. And just here let me explain one more factor related to paramagnetic, how to observe. And any substance, if it is of having magnetic moment mu, then the substance is said to have magnetic behavior, paramagnetic nature. And how to measure this magnetic moment? Already you know from atomic structure, from unpaired electron. Actually both the orbital and the electron will contribute for this, that is spinning of the electron will contribute for the magnetic moment. But in most of the cases, in lower d block elements, that is nothing but 3D block elements, they are having only the contribution from the spin of the electron. That's why we are finding the magnetic moment from spin only formula, which is given as mu is equal to under root n into n plus 2 Bohr magnetons, where n is nothing but n is equal to number of unpaired electrons. So in this manner we are able to calculate the magnetic moment. If that magnetic, here you can observe, in case of diamagnetic moment, mu is equal to under root 0 into 0 plus 2 Bohr magnetons. That means here mu is 0 because there is no unpaired electron. But here some unpaired electrons present, and hence we can find the magnetic moment in these cases. Clear? And now these paramagnetic substances are observed to be of having different nature in their magnetic behavior. Now let us observe what are different kinds of magnetic behaviors that observed in paramagnetic substances. We can observe three kinds of paramagnetic substances magnetic behavior. That they are nothing but, one is ferromagnetic behavior, and second one is antiferromagnetic behavior, and third one is ferrimagnetic behavior. These are the three kinds of magnetic behaviors we can observe from paramagnetic substances. And now let us observe what is ferromagnetic, what is ferrimagnetic, what is antiferromagnetic substances. Now just you observe ferromagnetic substances. These are a special kind of paramagnetic substances which can exhibit a permanent magnetic behavior even in the absence of external magnetic field. Even after dropping the external magnetic field, still the compounds or the substances behave like magnets. Clear? And they are having the magnetic moment as per the number of unpaired electrons present in the outermost orbits of their molecules or crystals. Clear? And here the ferromagnetic behavior, best examples are iron, cobalt, nickel. These are the best examples for ferromagnetic substances. And just you remember, say for example, let us explain, let us have a discussion about all these three with one example. Let us assume that these are having 6 unpaired electrons in the outermost orbit like this. 6 unpaired electrons. One, second one, and third one. 6 unpaired electrons are present. That is nothing but the orbitals. What I draw on that one is orbitals. Now let me explain one by one. 6 unpaired electrons are aligned on the same direction like this. Then it is ferromagnetic. Here mu, if we calculate mu is nothing but under root 6 into 6 plus 2 Bohr magnetons. Is it not? And now, unlike that of this ferromagnetic substance, in antiferromagnetic substances, they are having 6 unpaired electrons. You observe these are the 6 unpaired electrons what you can observe, and thereby from this large number of unpaired electrons what we can expect, large mu. That is nothing but because of having more unpaired electrons, it seems to exhibit more magnetic moment, but actually here mu is 0. Here mu becomes 0 even though it is having 6 unpaired electrons. Why it becomes like that? Just you observe, in this case all the 6 unpaired electrons are aligned in the same direction, so there is no cancellation of the dipole moment of each other. The net dipole moment is contributed by all these 6 electrons, whereas unlike that, this equal number of electrons are in opposite alignment. Just you observe, in this case if one is upward, the second one downward, upward, downward, upward, downward, all 6 electrons unpaired, but their alignment is equal number of electrons in opposite directions, is it not? And thereby because of this opposite direction alignment, equal number of electrons, the net dipole moment practically becomes 0. Such type of materials are known as antiferromagnetic substances. The best examples for this are nickel oxide, vanadium oxide, and then this like that, MnO. One more example, manganese oxide, monoxide. These are the best examples for antiferromagnetic. And now ferrimagnetic substance. Here again 6 electrons are there, unpaired electrons are there, but of them they are aligned, unequal number of electrons aligned in opposite directions, and thereby here even though large number of electrons present in these molecules, we are expecting more magnetic moment, but it is less in value. That means in case of this, the magnetic moment is contributed by all the unpaired electrons. In this case the magnetic moment becomes 0, and in case of this the magnetic moment is not up to the expected mark. Why? Because unequal number of electrons are aligned in opposite direction, and here you remember, my dear students, you remember here mu is not becoming 0. Why mu is not becoming 0? When mu can be 0, when equal number of electrons oriented in opposite directions, then mu become 0. But in this case it is not equal number, just unequal number. Now you can observe that this is cancelled by this one and it is cancelled by this one, but still 2 unpaired electrons are aligned in one direction. These 2 are now contributing for the magnetic moment. Like that, when the substance is seem to be of having maximum or more magnetic field from its number of unpaired electrons, but actual value is less, it is not 0. If it is 0, it is antiferro, but it is not 0 but less than the expected. In such a case they are known as ferrimagnetic substances. Are you following? Ferrimagnetic substances. Like that, different kinds of substances we can observe depending on their natures. Clear? And now in these ferrimagnetic substances, the best examples are ferrites, Fe3O4 or MgM, it is with +2, Fe2O4 -2. With this nature, any ferrite, these are known as ferrites. Here M+2 may be either magnesium Mg+2 or Cu+2 or Zn+2. All these substances are exhibiting the ferrimagnetic natures. They are having unequal number of electrons aligned in opposite directions. Clear? And now actually all these substances, some are having antiferro, some are having ferrite, ferrimagnetic and ferro. These some magnetically ordered compounds at certain temperature are aligned as paramagnetic substances. That means at particular elevated temperature, they are of now coming into either it is antiferro or ferro or ferri. They are becoming as paramagnetic substances. That is, the net dipole moment will be observed. Clear? And it is of happening, for example, NiO, it is antiferro. But this NiO at 523 Kelvin will behave as paramagnetic. That is nothing but magnetic nature is observed. And one more phenomenon what we can observe is every magnetic substance, ferromagnetic substance is having a characteristic temperature above which no ferromagnetism is observed. That is, the ferromagnetism is of now coming cancelled. Such temperature is known as Curie temperature. It is known as Curie temperature. The temperature above which the ferromagnetism disappears for the compound. It is a characteristic feature of each ferromagnetic substance, you remember. Clear? That is about the magnetic properties of the crystal solids. And now coming to the last property, that is nothing but dielectric properties of these crystal solids. And dielectric properties, actually, as we know, insulators are unable to conduct the electricity. Do you know the reason? Insulators, when they are insulators, are you thinking that there is no electron in insulator material? No. They are also having the electrons. They are also having the ions. But the difference between insulators and conductors is, in case of conductors, there are free ions and free electrons. But in case of insulators, there are no free electrons or there are no free ions. That means in insulators, all the electrons are supposed to be of bond very tightly. They are held tightly. That is, the third property is dielectric properties. In insulators, the electrons are held tightly with the atoms or ions or the molecules. That's why when they are not having the free migrating electrons, they are behaving like insulators. Is it not? But in such insulator solid substances, sometimes when external electric field is applied, that is, electric field or electrical potential is applied to that substances, there is some sort of polarization. It is nothing but because the nuclei is nothing but a representation for positive charge, will be aligned to one side and all the electrons will be aligned to another side. Actually, if it is, this is nucleus positive charge and electrons are dispersed like this around. And now, say for example, how much of the positive charge is present inside the nucleus, that much of electrons will be around that, because electron and proton numbers are same. Clear? Now, in electric field, when we are applying electric field, these all the positive charge will be aligned to one side. That is, nuclei will come to one side and opposite charge electrons are on the other side. And because of this, when this charge positive and negative poles develop, it is nothing but polarization. And this polarization is happened in presence of external electric field or external potential. Clear? Electric potential. And now because of this polarization, now they start to exhibit the magnetic, or they are able to generate the current. Clear? And now in such a case, we can observe, because of this polarization, already actually these materials are having dipoles. Already they are having some sort of dipoles, but they are tightly, they are held tightly. And now in external, when we are applying the electric field, they are of getting high polarized, and thereby now we are supposed to imagine some sort of electricity generated in such compounds. And now, what are the reasons? What type of electricity we can observe in such solids? Now let us observe. It is of piezo electricity. Piezoelectricity or it is also known as pressure electricity. Pressure electricity, piezo or pressure electricity. And second one is pyroelectricity. Pyroelectricity. And third one is ferroelectricity. And fourth one is antiferro electricity. These are the four types of electricity that we can observe from these insulating or insulators, which are the crystals which are behaving as insulators in normal conditions. Clear? And now let us go for this piezoelectricity. Piezo or pressure, already the word. When we are applying some pressure on these substances, then they are aligned like this. Because of the pressure, they align like this, and they are generating some sort of polarization, and due to that polarization, when that is nothing but when the electron density variation is observed, that is nothing but potential difference is observed. Now current will be generated. From this to this, electron will migrate, and thereby because of that potential difference, we can expect some sort of current generated. Clear? But this alignment will happen when we are applying some sort of pressure. Clear? It is nothing but mechanical pressure. The best examples, well-known examples, are glowing balls. When glowing balls, if you are pressuring that ball, that it can glow. How? Because when we are making some sort of pressure on that, they are generating current. Because of that current, they are glowing. Clear? And now pyroelectricity. Some piezoelectric substances, when heated, they start to generate some sort of current because of the polarization due to the heat, and such type of electricity is known as pyroelectricity. Pyro means heating, already you know. And then ferroelectricity, and ferroelectricity is nothing but some sort of piezoelectric crystals or piezoelectric solids are able to generate the current. They are producing the current even in the absence of external potential. Even in the absence of external, that means they are having permanent electricity, permanent dipole alignment, and because of that, they are continuously producing this current. Permanent electricity will be generated. Then it is nothing but because of because of a permanent alignment of the dipoles like this. Clear? Such type of materials where a permanent dipole or polarization is happening is known as ferroelectric materials, and such type of electricity is known as ferroelectricity. And you remember, all the ferroelectric substances are piezoelectric substances, but reverse is not true. For example, let us consider piezoelectric substances. Best example is BaTiO3, KH2PO4, and one more example is lead zirconate. These are the three examples for piezoelectricity. And now for ferroelectric substances, the best examples are BaTiO3 and KH2PO4. These two are behaving as ferro, but this is not behaving as ferroelectricity. That's why we are saying ferroelectric substances are piezoelectric substances. All ferroelectric substances are piezoelectric substances, but reverse is not true, because here lead zirconate is not, it is piezoelectric substance, but it is not ferro. And then antiferro, here these are of having a permanent alignment of these dipoles with equal number like this. That is nothing but their alignment is equal number in opposite directions like this, and because of that there is no potential difference. The alignment is nothing but in opposite directions, equal number of opposite directions they aligned, thereby there is no potential difference, and hence it is not possible to generate any current from this. Such type of piezoelectric solids are known as antiferroelectric substances. Here there is no current generation because of a permanent orientation of the dipoles in opposite directions like this. And the best example for this is the remaining, that is nothing but lead zirconate. These three are the best examples for piezoelectric substances, and these two, they are of having some sort of nature that to align permanently to create the potential difference, and thereby they are creating ferroelectricity. And in this case, they are of having a permanent alignment in opposite directions, equal number in opposite directions, and thereby the net result will be no current will be generated. Such materials are known as antiferro substances and electricity and antiferro substances, and the best example is nothing but lead zirconate. That is about the total chapter solid state. With this concept, I am concluding the chapter here itself, and I hope that I covered all the syllabus that included in G Mains and NEET level concepts from NCERT textbook, and here and there some other concepts are required for the advanced level, but it is not in our scope, it is beyond the scope of our discussion, and thereby I concluding this chapter here. And my dear students, you just remember the numerical part here and there we are observing when it is related to the analysis of unit cell. In all the remaining parts, what we are observing is just the theoretical part, and most of it is very important chapter where we can expect 1 or 2 questions from this chapter, because it is related to state of the substance. Clear? Thereby having thorough idea. If you are not getting idea, again and again you are having the facility to review that. Again and again you can go through different videos where you are not connected with the concept, and then I hope that you can get a highest grip on this substance, and you can excel even in your examination in a perfect manner. Clear? Thank you.